Hello students, welcome to this video on the Edible Woman by Margaret Atwood. And in this video, we're going to look at chapter 16. But before that, let us quickly look at chapter 15 because chapter 15 and 16 are almost a continuation. So in chapter 15, we saw that this is what we saw. Marian goes to visit Clara at the hospital who has delivered a baby girl. She goes and she finds her, sitting, in her bed, in the hospital bed. She looks very thin. And then they talk about many things. Mainly, they talk about children. They talk about, husbands. Of course, Clara does the talking, and she talks about children, she talks about husband, and actually she's discussing all this with Marian, but Marian is a bit surprised that Clara can think about all these things with so much clarity because she has always thought, and it is also true about her about her, her personality, the way she behaved when she was a young girl and as a student, she was not very organized. So she's wondering, Marian is wondering how come Clara is able to analyze all these things so cleverly. And in fact, she advises Marian to go in for a child very quickly. And that is why the contrast occurs. Marian does a contrast between Clara's desire to have a child and Ainsley's desire to have a child. Both of them want to have a child, but look at the contrast there. So that is, and then she talks about her husband and, husbands in general. And she says that, you have to get used to, certain things get revealed about your husband only after marriage. And that's, she points that out to Marian. She talks about her husband, Joe, obviously. Okay. And then Marian does not see the kid, does not see the baby. She, So she when she comes out of the hospital, she thinks that her marriage with Peter is going to be much less complicated, or they are going to have far fewer illusions about their married life because they seem to have gone into marriage with much more thought than Clara and Joe. Joe and Clara, remember this is Clara's third pregnancy, so that's what she thinks. And then she actually she goes back in time and tells us. The novelist tells us that Marian had got a phone call while she was in office. One phone call from Peter. I keep on saying Philip. I don't know why. From Peter, asking her to come for a dinner, and then another phone call from Duncan, the person from the laundromat, the person whom she interviewed in chapter 6 for the interview, for the Moose beer interview. And what happens is he calls her and he says that you have to bring me some clothes to iron. Remember, he always says that ironing is, very important. He says that in a previous, meeting when they met in the laundromat. So Marian agrees to come. She agrees that she will come to Duncan's flat. So she is forced to cancel, the dinner date with Peter. And that is where she proceeds. Idu vandu Clara va paathuto. Hospital in the வெளியில வரும்போது this is narrated, and then just about when she is about to quit, when she is about to leave the hospital, so between the gap between which she leaves Clara and she quits the hospital, okay, because it's a quite big hospital, and Clara is somewhere else, so she has to walk all the way and all that, and she comes out. While coming out, she sees a doctor whom she thinks is familiar, but then turns out to be someone else. Anyway, he's wearing a mask. The doctor is wearing a mask. So, yeah, this is what happens in chapter 15. So, let us look at chapter 16. Obviously, see, there is no mention of Ainsley's episode with Len till now. But anyway, we will get to know it in this chapter. So, chapter 16, the same day on which he goes to visit Clara, in that evening, Marian, goes to Duncan's flat. And in fact, she remembers the way perfectly. Okay, she seems to remember the way perfectly. So Duncan, it is evening, almost 6:37. Remember, Marion goes to the hospital at around 4:30. She leaves to the hospital around 4:30. So it must be around 6:37 in the evening. That's our assumption. Okay, and Duncan welcomes her, and she has a very small bundle of clothes. Two blouses, a pillowcase. இந்த மாதிரி 2-3 விஷயங்கள் தான் வச்சிருக்கா. 4-5 விஷயங்கள் தான் வச்சிருக்கா. Maximum 4 or 5 pieces, and a few guest towels வச்சிருக்கா. So, and she apologizes for the number. So she hands over the clothes to Duncan, and he starts ironing. So as he's ironing, Marion watches Duncan iron the clothes, and she notices that nothing much has changed in the flat. It is in the same state in which it was when she came to interview Duncan. And remember, this happened, what we see in chapter 6, happened almost more than or almost 2 months ago. Okay, so அதே நிலைமையில அப்படியே இருக்கு. The 3 chairs are in the same position, were in the same positions, and Duncan's room also looked the same. In fact, there are some things that he has rearranged, and since he is ironing, what Marion sees is that. So Marion also notices that a number of clothes had already been ironed and kept on the bed. So what Duncan was doing is, Duncan had asked for more clothes. She realizes that. Okay, so adu purinjirthu avalukku, for more clothes to iron. That is why he called her, and that is why he asked her to bring over her clothes. Now, there is a small diversion in the narrative here. Diversion in the sense that we learn what has happened to Ainsley and Len. Okay. So when Marion had gone to collect the clothes, so Duncan is ironing the clothes, and Marion had gone to collect the clothes. There is a small break in the narrative here. So Marion, the novelist explains to us how what Marion did after coming out of the hospital and coming to Duncan's flat. So she had gone back to her room, collected the clothes, and that is when Ainsley gives her the information about what happened to. Ainsley gives the information about what happened to Len, because. So let me explain this. How she had. Let me explain this in detail in the next page. But what happened to Len? How did he leave? How did Len leave? Okay. How did Len leave? So these 2 questions will be answered. Okay. Okay. So let us begin from where the decision is made by Ainsley. Okay. To seduce Len. In which chapter does this happen? Please tell me in which chapter. This happens in chapter 14. Okay. Okay. So this happens on a particular evening. Okay. Let us say this happens at a particular evening. Okay. So that particular evening, Marion goes to the movies, and she sees Duncan also sitting in the same movie theater. Okay. Although there is no sort of communication between them. He just says pumpkin seeds. They don't speak with each other. So what happens after that? The next morning, the next day, okay, we are immediately in chapter 15. We are not told about what happens during that day. Okay. Straight away, Marion goes to the hospital. So chapters 14, 15, 16. Chapter 14 takes place on day 1 evening, chapter 15 the next day, and chapter 16 the next day evening. Okay, so that is why it's continuous. That's what I said. The narration is the action is almost continuous. Marion goes to the hospital at 4:30 p.m., meets Clara, goes back to her room to collect the clothes, and that is when Ainsley tells what happened to Len and how did Len leave. So Len வந்து எப்படி அந்த previous evening கிளம்பினார் அப்படிங்கறத அவங்க explain பண்றாங்க. So this is what happened. So this is what Ainsley tells Marion. So Ainsley and Len had spent the night together, and in the morning, so we are talking about the next morning, okay? In the morning, that is today, and the day on which he goes to the hospital, chapter 15, okay? in the morning, the next morning, Ainsley wants to give the excuse that Len is actually come to repair the telephone. There is some problem with the telephone that they have. So he must be the telephone man. There is some, he is the telephone man. Lady down below. She wanted to give the excuse to the lady down below. But surprisingly, the lady down below went out in the morning, and this was a chance for Len to leave. So both Len and Ainsley leave, okay, and have breakfast together. Now the point is this: Len hardly remembers what happened the previous night. He was that drunk, that scotch bottle which they have taken. He's that drunk on that. So, and in fact, so he doesn't remember what happened, but he remembers that something intimate happened between them, that they became intimate. So during breakfast, Len was actually consoling Ainsley, thinking that Ainsley is innocent. A small girl, a school girl. Len was consoling Ainsley because he thinks that Ainsley is innocent and she still has this, schoolgirl attitude. That is what he thinks. But the ulta is true. Okay. In fact, Ainsley is happy that, she's finally going to become, that she may be on the family way, that she may become pregnant very soon. That is this, she's sure to become pregnant. Okay. So the pregnancy will be confirmed very soon. So this is the, this is what happened in the previous night. So, the lady down below, surprisingly, this is very surprising. This is not her habit. Okay. She goes out, and this is the chance for Len and Ainsley to leave. In fact, Len leaves. Ainsley also goes and has breakfast with him. And Ainsley has not gone to work today. Today because, well, she just wants to take a break. Okay. She has skipped work. So, Marian is suspicious. Marian knows that it is highly unlikely that the lady down below will usually go. She is suspicious when the lady down below behaves like this, it is not her habit to go out in the morning. Why would she go out? And in fact, the previous night, if you remember chapter 14, the previous night, I'll just show you that part so that you are clear about it. The lady down below, it is almost past 1. The lady down below comes and asks her, I remember, I think that a man has gone upstairs and has not come down. So that is what she thinks. So the lady down below, it is highly unlikely that, she goes out in the morning. So Marian is suspicious of her activity. And she tells Ainsley that the lady down below had asked her the previous night that she saw a man go up. Not saw, heard a man go up. Okay, man or steps married there. Okay, her suspicion that this man had gone up, but not had gone up, but had not come down. Okay, and the suspicion irukku. So had not come down. And the suspicion irukku. எதுக்கு வெளியில போறா அப்படின்னு Marian யோசிக்கிறாரு. There must be something in this. அப்படின்னா Marian is suspicious, but then Ainsley dismisses her. Okay, so Ainsley dismisses it, and this is what happens just before she comes to Duncan's flat. So now Marian is describing Duncan's ironing, and there are various ways in which he irons clothes. Okay, so Marian describes Duncan ironing clothes, and he does it with a lot of seriousness. He's doing it very seriously. This entire ironing process is done very seriously. And as she's watching him, she says, "Okay, let me take a break." So she goes to the bathroom only to take a break. Okay, to comb her hair, etc. And she sees that the mirror is totally smashed. The mirror there is totally smashed. Okay. It is there in the, it is there where it is, but no, you cannot use it for all practical purposes. It is, yeah. And so she comes back, okay, to find him, ironing, continuing with that activity. Okay. So there are two ways in which he irons clothes. One is, of course, he uses short, short strokes, okay, to iron something like a blouse. And then there is another method that he uses, long movements, okay? Long and sweeping movements. கொஞ்சம் பெரியதா இருந்ததுன்னா அவர் அப்படி யூஸ் பண்றாரு. So there is a pattern in this also. So she wonders, he himself asks, he volunteers the information about the mirror, and he says that. So Duncan says that he had smashed the mirror in the fear. அவருக்கு பயம் வந்துருத்தான் that one day he would not be able to see his reflection. So டொமைன்ல எடுத்த ஒரு frying pan வச்சு he used a frying pan to smash the mirror. அந்த frying panல ஆம்லெட் பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தாரு, okay, to smash the mirror. And actually on the frying pan something was cooking. So when Duncan goes and uses the frying pan to good effect. So Trevor was cooking an omelette in that frying pan, and the omelette ode அப்படியே அது smash பண்ணி விட்டுறாரு. Okay, so and then he justifies this. He says that it was a symbolic narcissistic gesture. This is what he says, a symbolic narcissistic gesture. He wants to, the core is a very eccentric move by Duncan. Okay, and then he talks about Trevor, and obviously Trevor and Fish are very upset, and he says that Trevor was upset because he thinks that he plays the role of Trevor is like Duncan's mother. Okay, see, when you are among friends, one person will be very brotherly to you, one person will be very very motherly to you, especially if it's a single gender. There is, if it's boys group or girls group. Mixed group la andha marla edirpaaka mudiyadhu. There will be some sort of formality in that kind of grouping. But all boys group la indha mari Trevor வந்து Duncan oda mother mari ஒரு role play பண்றாரு. So this gives Duncan an opportunity to talk about parents. And then he talks about தன்னோட பூர்வீகத்தை பத்தி பேசுறாரு. பூர்வீகம்னு இல்ல, தன்னை பத்தி பேசும்போது he says, look, he actually spins a story. He actually creates a story. He says that when he was a baby, he had been exchanged, for another baby with another child. He was exchanged with another child, and then this is like a story, okay? So and then he continues and says that, look, there were certain features that I had which never resembled my parents. That is not because, not just because I am not their child, but because I come from the underground. Or alien Mari, okay, Superman, something like the Superman story. Superman comes from another planet, and he is adopted by parents here in the USA, on Earth. Okay, so இதுக்கு என்ன ஃபீச்சர்னா, இந்த இயர்ஸ் வச்சுட்டு கண்டுபிடிக்க முடியாது that he doesn't belong to them. Okay, so this is what he says. He creates a story where, of course, he has parents. That is obvious, and he's going to talk about them. He's going to talk about his hometown, in this chapter. So, as a baby, he got exchanged, and the parents never discovered that. But in reality, he's from the underground. He's not human at all. Okay, he's not human at all. This is the story that he tells Marian after she comes out from the bathroom. Two things. One, the reason for smashing the mirror. The other is this. And the ironing is almost over. Almost all the clothes are over. Okay. So with the last few pieces of clothes, Duncan tests the iron and burns his finger. Okay, and actually almost burns his fingers. But he continues ironing till all the clothes are done. Okay, so he asks two things. In the finger burn panane, are you not? So he says, are you not going to come and comfort me? Marian says, no, nothing doing. I'm not coming to comfort you at all. The other thing he confesses after he does this is just after he burns his fingers, he asks Marian. It's a very small detail, but anyway. See, what I'm trying to tell you is what is being revealed through this narrative in chapter 16 is that Duncan and Marian are now developing a relationship. Okay, that is so he continues ironing till all the clothes are done, and then he confesses. There is a confession that he gives. He confesses that he is not addicted to ironing. இது ஒரு பெரிய தலைவலி. You see, I can give you a very monotonous or very easy, I would say easy monotonous job. Okay, an easy job, an easy repetitive job, and you can use that as an excuse to say that, look, I'm trying to get all this work done and all that. Okay, so he confesses that he's not addicted to ironing. Why do something which so which is going to waste your time? So he's not addicted to ironing. He's not a chronic ironer. Okay, so it's not an addictive habit. Okay, so and then he confesses that his term paper, that by term paper we mean what you understand under the term assignment is called term paper. Okay, term paper na அது ஒரு டேர்முக்கு ஒரு 2 months ஓட ஸ்டடி வச்சுட்டு நீங்க ஒரு பேப்பர் எழுதணும், which you'll be doing in your MA. So he also confesses that the term paper that he was working on, he had dropped it into water. எப்படியோ by accident or by plan. இது மாதிரி ஏதாவது இருக்கும், like smashing the mirror, அது மாதிரி ஏதாவது இருக்கும். So he dropped it into water, it became wet, and so he had to dry it out and iron it. He ironed the term paper. By the way, term paper na minimum 10 ல இருந்து 15 பக்கம் இருக்கும். So it is not just one page or one sheet like this. It will be quite a substantial amount of number of papers. So why did he do it? He says, he confesses that he did not want to retype the entire paper. So he submitted this paper and started ironing. Started ironing clothes. Okay, just to reduce the tension of this. Remember, ultimately he is doing something which he does not like. That is the entire point. So he started ironing clothes, and since all the clothes had got exhausted, he went to the laundromat to clean clothes, to get more, to wash those clothes, and that is when to wash clothes so that he could get more clothes for ironing. Okay, and that is when he had come to the movies. So, and that is where Marion had seen Duncan. Okay, so in the meanwhile, he had gone to the movie theater, the same movie theater in which, the same movie theater in which, actually movie theater சொல்லக்கூடாது, cinema hall னு சொல்லணும். Anyway, I'm assuming I'm not being very exact here about this. Okay, so you go to the movies. That is the term that you use. Anyway, you had gone to the movie theater in which, Marion was watching. So it was a coincidence. So Marion was watching the same movie as Duncan, and Duncan had come in this gap. In the laundromat la, either potato, he had come. Okay, so this he did during the waiting time till the clothes got ironed. The clothes got washed. So this is where he was eating the pumpkin seeds. So he took all these clothes, ironed all of them, and he wanted to iron more. Okay, so that is when he called Marion at the office. So he wanted more clothes to remember. He had done all the clothes. He didn't have enough clothes, so he took all the dirty clothes, went to the laundromat, washed those clothes. He was waiting for that when he had gone to the movie theater. This happened the previous evening. Okay, this happened the previous evening. The evening in which Len and Ainsley got close, and the evening in which Marion has come to watch that movie. Okay, Marion was watching the Western movie. Okay, that Western. Okay, so this is clear. So now what has happened is, see, the point is, when he calls Marion at the office, he doesn't know her name. So Duncan, does not know her name. And he just gives a description of her, and the person, the secretary or the person at the controlling the telephone, is able to pass on the call to Marion. Okay. So in the previous video at 23:54 minutes, if you check in chapter 15, I had said that Marion had given her details. Actually, she had given her details, given the details of the company. Seymour Surveys nu sollirundanga, not her card. Okay, because so there is a small error there that has occurred. So please correct that error. அதை வச்சு நீங்க ஏதாவது so 2354 in chapter 15 அந்த வீடியோல 23rd minute 54th secondல நான் அது அந்த இந்த விஷயத்த சொல்றேன். அது கொஞ்சம் கிளியரா நான் சொல்லல. ஸோ ஐ எம் கரெக்டிங் மை செல்ஃப். 2354ல இருந்து ஒரு 30 seconds ரன் பண்ணீங்கன்னா you will be able to understand what I'm trying to tell you here. So he does not know her name. ஏன் தெரியாதுன்னா பிகாஸ் அப்போ இன்டர்வியூ எடுக்கும் போது கூட சொல்லல. So then Marian wants to change the, and how does she know her name? How does she know his name? Because when he calls her, he introduces himself as Duncan. In chapter 15, introduces himself as Duncan. Okay, so she asks, why does he like ironing so much? Why does he do that? Okay, so Duncan says, இங்கேயே அவர் சொல்றாருல, he says here that I'm not a chronic ironer or anything like that, and he says that ironing helps me to, first of all, it relieves tension. It relieves the tension that is built because of writing papers, because of writing his writing his thesis. Okay, and at present he is working on a very strange, I mentioned that in the summary, so don't worry. He's working on on a term paper on Trollope, okay, on Anthony Trollope. I have mentioned that in the summary, so don't worry. So wait, if you want it here, I'll write that down here also. So this is the title of the paper, okay? So what does ironing do? Ironing, when he writes such a tough paper, he while writing the paper, he gets tangled up. ஒரு மாதிரி சிடுக்கு பிடிச்ச மாதிரி ஆயிடுமா, tangled. Okay, if you watch the movie, you will understand what it is. Tangled அப்படியே சிடுக்கு பிடிச்ச மாதிரி ஒரு, he gets caught up. Ironing, what it does is it smooths things out. Okay, it smooths things out. ஏன்னா எல்லாமே நீட்டா ஆயிடுமே. ஓகே, நீட்டா ஒரு யூனிஃபார்ம் பேட்டர்ன் வந்துடும். It smooths things out. It straightens it out. Okay, so it smooths and straightens things out. That's what he says. And then he says, look, I need to, I would love to iron some more. So why don't you give me, he asks Marian for her blouse. And he says, don't worry, நீ உன் blouse கைட்டி கொடுத்தேன்னா you can wear my dressing gown. நீங்க போய், so he offers his dressing gown to her, and he wants to, iron this blouse also. So that is what he wants her to do. Remove her blouse, give it to him, wear his dressing gown, remove her blouse, give it to him so that he can iron that. Okay. So Marian wears Duncan's dressing gown, and she removes her blouse and hands it over to him. Okay. So now he starts ironing her blouse. Okay. ஏன்னா அவருக்கு இன்னும் அயர்னிங் பண்ணி முடிக்கலையா, irons. Okay, அவர் என்ன அயர்ன் பண்ணி முடிக்கலையா. See, this is the problem. When you think that this is a very innocent request, you get caught like this. Anyway, so this is what is happening here. He irons clothes, and then he finally he says, look, I want to iron your blouse now. You can wear my dressing on now. There is a tension in Marian that Marian has. Marian believes if by some chance her blouse gets burnt by the iron, she has nothing else to wear. ஐயோ, நான் அந்த ட்ரெஸ்ஸிங் கவுன்லயா வீட்டுக்கு போக முடியும்? நைட் ட்ரெஸ் மாதிரி இருக்கும் ட்ரெஸ்ஸிங் கவுன்னா. ட்ரெஸ்ஸிங் கவுன்லயா நான் வீட்டுக்கு போக முடியும் அப்படின்னு யோசிக்கிறா. ஓகே, ஸோ லக்கிலி டன்கன் finishes ironing. ஆக்சுவலி இது மூணாவது டெக்னிக். நம்ம இது என்ன பண்ணணும்னா, there are 3 techniques. He finishes ironing. This time it looked very dangerous. என்னமோ பண்ண மாதிரி இருந்தது. So there are 3 ways in which Duncan irons. You remember here, either with short strokes or with long sweeping strokes, sweeping movements. Okay, or dangerously. So these are the 3 ways he irons clothes. Anyway, so he finishes ironing, and he gives the blouse back to her, and he finishes ironing, and he keeps the blouse aside. Actually, he forgets that, not the blouse back to her. He keeps the blouse aside. ஒரு பக்கத்துல வச்சிருக்காரு, எல்லா அயர்ன் கிளாத்ஸோடையும் ஒரு வச்சிருக்காரு. And then he talks about his term paper. He talks about how he has to see இந்த term paperலாம் எதுக்கு சப்மிட் பண்றோம்னா, PhD முடிக்கிறதுக்கு முன்னாடி you are supposed to show progress in every semester. Every 6 months, you are supposed to show progress. So, adukada the term paper. So, he talks about writing term papers for his graduate program. Yes, see, the term paper பத்தி பேசும்போது, he says, the moment I hand it over, submit பண்ணதுக்கு அப்புறம், I feel as if there is nothingness. There is an emptiness after I have submitted it. So, there is a non-permanency in this. Submit பண்ணதுக்கு அப்புறம், what do you feel? That it is not done properly. It is not done. It is not finished. Because you get a grade for it, fine. And then somebody the next year is going to work, another student is going to work on the same term paper, on the almost the similar subject. Okay? Summa, instead of on trollop on another poet or another writer. So he calls this student, he calls every student poor comma counters. Okay, poor comma counters, precisely because this is what they do. Comma, you keep on counting commas in the comma 1, 2. Okay, and he feels that this is like a never-ending, writing term papers and a never-ending task. You keep on doing it. It's like being on a treadmill. You do it and then you have to do it again. So that is how ironing is. Ironing and term paper writing are the same. No matter how well you write a term paper, it is going to end, get some grade and then get done again. The same way, whatever you iron gets sprinkled. So there is a non-permanency in all these two activities. அதுக்கப்புறம் தான் பர்மனண்டா அப்போ என்ன வேணும்? It is non-permanency in both these activities. Okay, see, this is again a very nihilistic rejection of life. Nihilismனா என்னன்னு அப்புறம் பேசுறேன் உங்கள்ட்ட. ஒரு 5 minute talk கொடுக்குறேன் அதை பத்தி. See, this is the kind of monotony that sets in when you don't do something which is repetitive, which is not very. That is how research is. But இதுக்கு ஒரு alternative இருக்குது, அப்புறம் பேசலாம் நம்ம. So then he talks about production consumption. Okay, he says that the human mind was the last. So இந்த term paper பத்தி பேசிட்டாரா, இப்போ அடுத்த philosophy ஆரம்பிக்கிறாரு. He says that the human mind was the last thing to be commercialized. It has become a commercialized thing. Okay, there is no hyphen here. Okay, the human mind was the last thing to be commercialized, and he compares library. He says this, and he compares library shelves to used cars graveyards. Huge scrap. Okay, used cars graveyards. What you see in in American movies, huge இருக்கும், ஏக்கர் பை ஏக்கரா வந்து used cars இருக்கும். அது வந்து இதுவா இருக்கும். நம்ம when we come towards our college from Avadi, you have a used cars place. பழைய military vehicles எல்லாம் வச்சிருக்குமே. So that's what he means by used cars graveyard. Only thing, long acre after acre will be like this. So he's comparing, this comparison is given. Okay, this comparison of library shelves having books to used cars graveyards. Actually, it's not true. There's a lot of exciting things that go on in research. Anyway, we'll talk about them later. So, to counter this non-permanency, there is nothing is final. This term paper is not final. Okay, final or permanent. So, what he suggests that I have a great plan for making something permanent. I want to have permanent leaves on trees. அது கொட்டக்கூடாது. Okay, so ultimately he is rejecting the cycle of life. Okay, he wants permanent leaves on trees, and he also feels that trees producing new leaves as a waste. He finds vegetation to be oppressive. Green-ஆ இருக்க கூடாது அப்படின்னு அவர் ஃபீல் பண்றாரு. So he proposes a new kind of permanent tree. They should have black trunks and white leaves. Okay, so and then These are the features of the permanent trees, according to Duncan. And he also says that, he waits for snow. He waits for winter because when it snows, everything becomes white. And that is why he he prefers all these, permanent trees, black trunks with white leaves, etc. So he hates green. Essentially, he hates vegetation and he hates green. And that is because where he comes from, the reason is that he comes from a mining town. And in that town where he lived as a child, that is his hometown, okay? Where he lived as a child, there was no vegetation. There was hardly any vegetation thanks to the pollution created by that mine. So there was so much of pollution from that mine, and there was, in fact, even the water that used to be in that town used to collect, on the rock. It used to be yellowish brown. So even the water used to be polluted, yellowish brown water. And so because of this mining town had no vegetation, not even grass would grow because of the pollution from the mine, and even water would appear yellowish brown. And so that is why he says that he waits for winter, he waits for snow, so that everything will become white. Okay, so this is his philosophy. He has philosophized about the term papers, about non-permanency, about all these things. Okay, now what he does is, after speaking all this, he looks at Marian. And remember, Marian is wearing Duncan's dressing gown. Okay, so Marian is wearing Duncan's dressing gown. So he says that we don't know whether it's a compliment or not. He says that she looks like him. So he says that Marian looks like him in the dressing gown. So what he does, since he has completed ironing and he's sitting on the bed, he pulls her closer to him. Okay, towards him. He pulls her closer towards him, and then Marian tells him, not reminds him, of course. Marian tells him that she's engaged. Okay, that she's engaged. And she doesn't mention that she's engaged to Peter, but the fact that she's engaged. The point is that Marian has volunteered to come here, so she has to bear the consequences of whatever he does. So so this fact does not move Duncan. He says that, look, the fact that you are engaged can be compared to me getting an A grade on the pre-Raphaelite paper. On it, I'm totally disconnected about this. Okay, the pre-Raphaelite paper A grade வாங்குறதும் உன்னோட என்கேஜ்மெண்ட்டும் ஒண்ணுதான். The engagement to Peter or with whomever you are engaged, she doesn't tell him that she has been engaged to Peter. So she says, I am engaged. She says, I am not bothered about that. And he tells her, he tells her something which should have made Marian feel very bad. He says, he calls Marian a substitute for the laundromat. It is just some entertainment going on in front of him. So actually she should have felt bad about this. Okay, but instead of feeling bad, Marian, she feels relieved. Instead of feeling bad about Duncan's comment, she feels relieved. So she asks, what are you a substitute for? She puts the question back to him. She puts the question, what are you a substitute for? Okay, and he replies that he is a universal substitute. So this is how he goes about philosophizing about his life. And then Trevor and Fish enter the flat. So Trevor and Fish enter, and immediately Duncan, what he does, Duncan rises up from the bed and he arranges the chessboard. So what Duncan does is Duncan gets up from the bed, arranges the chessboard and makes it appear as if he were playing a chess game with Marian. His roommates do not believe him. Of course, obviously, we were just, playing high. ரொம்ப காமா பதில் கொடுக்குற மாதிரி டன்கன் பதில் கொடுக்குறாரு. But then Trevor and Fish don't believe him. Actually, he tells Marian, that Trevor and Fish play the roles of parents. Already we know that he has already mentioned in this chapter that Trevor plays the role of his mother. Okay, so with this we end chapter 16. Does Marian leave? The question is obvious. You will ask this obvious question. We'll not. It is not mentioned in the chapter. Okay, so with that we complete chapter. So that is 16. And before we say goodbye, let us quickly look at what we have seen in this video. Okay, so in this chapter. So chapter 16, I told you, is a continuous action from chapter 14 and 15. So Marian goes to Duncan's flat, and once she reaches, she hands over the clothes, and Duncan starts ironing the clothes. So she notices that nothing much has changed. The chaos is just as she had noticed 2 months ago. The 3 chairs are in the same positions. Duncan's room is like that. You know, the chaos paper. If you read the novel, you will be able to understand it much better. You will be able to, what I mean by understand is you will be able to get the detail much better. So then we are told how Len left the apartment. Okay. So when Duncan irons the clothes, the novelist takes us back to Marian collecting clothes and talking to Ainsley just an hour or 2 before. Okay. So what happened to Len? What really happens is, so when Marian, when Ainsley, so I told you what happened here. So I just quick revision of what happens in 14 and 15. So in the morning, surprisingly, the lady down below goes out for a walk. Len is stuck in their room, but this is the chance for Len and Ainsley to leave. So Len leaves along with Ainsley, and they have breakfast together. And during breakfast, Len consoles Ainsley, thinking that she would need some sort of consoling, some sort of parenting kind of thing. But actually, Ainsley is the one who has seduced Len. She is the seducer, but Len thinks that he has seduced Ainsley, which is not true at all. So Marian is actually, Ainsley is happy that her pregnancy will be confirmed soon. But Marian is suspicious. The lady down below does not usually go out in the morning. But anyway, coming back to the narration here, so Duncan is ironing, and we talked about the 2 or 3 ways that he irons. And then when Marian goes into the bathroom, she notices that the mirror has been smashed. And Duncan gives an explanation for that. He is afraid that he will stop seeing his reflection one day. And then he talks about his, about parenting, and about, how Trevor thinks of himself as Duncan's mother. And finally, we know at the end of the chapter, Trevor is the mother. Fish is almost like the father. Adu Thiripi confirmed in the later chapter. So Duncan talks about how as a baby he was exchanged, and his parents were unaware of the exchange. But in reality, he is from the underground. So that's what I told you. This is something similar to the Superman story, okay, where Superman comes from a different planet. Okay, you just check out the Superman story, and he gets adopted and by Earthlings, so not Earthlings, by his parents on Earth. Because when you use the term Earthling, you are actually degrading. Lingana use panna and the idoda. When you use that suffix, you are actually degrading that person, degrading that category. Okay, you usually use. Anyway, you can check the morphological meaning for that particular suffix. So then he continues ironing, and then he gives an explanation as to how he got into this movie theater. He wanted to iron more clothes, and then that is because of the tension that got created by writing the term paper, and he dropped it in a puddle of water. He took out the term paper, very eccentric person. But anyway, so, and then he wanted more clothes. That's why he called Marian at the office, and he got her to bring the clothes. So the movie theater meet how he was there in the explanation. And I also mentioned that he goes on and to explain why he keeps on ironing. And finally, he says, look, நான் எல்லாத்தையுமே ஆன் பண்ணிட்டேன், but still there is some tension in my mind, so I need your blouse ன்னு சொல்லிட்டு அவளை ட்ரெஸ்ஸிங் ஆன் போட வச்சுட்டு பிளவுஸ் எடுத்து அதையும் அயன் பண்றாரு. And then he talks about the futility of the entire graduate study. He calls students a poor comma counters. Okay, poor comma counter. Any student who's stuck in a graduate study for 7, 8, 9 years, that's how things are. Anyway, but things are not as bad as Duncan says. Okay, so then he talks about the human mind. He philosophizes about the human mind, about about library, about used books, and then he says that I want something permanent. I don't like vegetation, I don't like green, and he gives a solution for that. And that is because he comes from a mining town where he had permanent pollution, no vegetation, and the water was always yellowish brown. Okay, so they become a bit close. He keeps on talking to her, and he says that, look, Marian, you are a substitute for the laundromat. When she tells him that, look, I'm engaged, you cannot become close to me. But then when she puts the question back, he says, I am a universal substitute. And then the chapter ends with Trevor and Fish, his flatmates, his roommates entering the flat, and Duncan acting as if he was having a game of chess with Marian. They don't believe, Trevor and Fish don't believe Duncan. And we realize that even previously Trevor plays the role of the mother. Fish is almost playing the role of the father. So with that, we have completed chapter 16. I just write chapter 17 so that we are in the spirit to look at that chapter in the next video. So thanks a lot, people. Keep the questions coming, and I will check the number of views. Okay, ஒரு தடவை வியூ பண்ணிட்டு அதுக்கப்புறம் திருப்பி உட்காந்து ஆடியோ ஃபைலை போட்டு பாருங்க. ஏன்னா ஆடியோ ஃபைல் கேட்கறது உங்களுக்கு ஒன்றும் டேட்டா செலவாக போறது இல்லை. ஓகே பீப்புள், ஸோ தேங்க்ஸ் அ லாட் அண்ட் குட் பை.